Thank you, Mr. Chair, for holding this hearing. I've been hearing from Connecticut producers about cost increases and operation impediments caused by global supply chain disruptions. For some, this has become so burdensome that they are contemplating closing their doors permanently. That outcome, if widespread, would be disastrous for my state because we have many small family farmers. I'm glad we have a chance to explore this further today. Generally, trade policy is extremely important to Connecticut agricultural producers. According to the latest available data from the United States Trade Representatives, Connecticut exported about $248 million in agricultural goods, mainly to Asia and Europe in 2017. Given that my state has a substantial dairy industry, I am extremely concerned about this issue. So, Mr. Vandewater, I was pleased to support the USMCA in last Congress and was particularly glad to see that the deal opened Canada to U.S. dairy exports. Since its implementation last year, how has USMCA affected dairy trade with Canada? And is Canada adhering to the dairy access agreements in the USMCA?
Well, as I said before, I don't think they have changed their actions a little bit, but they have not fully acted on the agreements that were put forth in the USMCA. So we do ask that that Ambassador Tai and the administration call them to the table and ask for the hearing on getting resolution to that problem.
And I think this kind of ties together what Ms. Sorensen said and the chairman said. What export opportunities might U.S. producers be missing out on because the United States withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership? And to what extent, if at all, would meat and dairy producers benefit if the U.S. were to join the CPTPP?
So again, Japan obviously is a key market for us, but it needs to be a fully accessible market for dairy. As I said before, Vietnam used to be our largest customer, and we virtually haven't been able to ship anything to Vietnam because someone else got a free trade agreement there, and we had tariffs imposed on us. So, and that story just gets told over and over and over throughout the Middle East. We've done what we can to access those markets, but TPP would definitely be very, very big for the dairy industry.
And lastly, Mr. Vandewater, you mentioned that exports drive growth and create jobs in the dairy industry. Can an increase in exports help strengthen the fluid milk supply chain?
Absolutely. I mean, a rising tide, lifts all boats. We have in dairy, we have faced the same labor issues that any other industry out there has faced. We've had a really hard time finding enough labor over the last couple of years, and I'm sure I'm not alone with. As I talk to farmers across the U.S., they have the same issues. So, I think we have a fairly secure dairy market here in the U.S., and our domestic supply chain is in very good shape. There were small issues last year, but for the most part, we have the product. It was just a matter of getting it into a package or getting it to a store. That was the problem. So I think our supply chain here in America is very good, and any export opportunities will only enhance that.
Thank you. And I will conclude my time the way I always do, just reminding everyone on this committee and all the stakeholders that when we look at the challenges in the industry on large corporate scales, just imagine how those challenges are amplified and exacerbated for small family farmers, for people who this is their only source of income, who don't have the revenue or the capital to continue through several bad years or bad seasons. So I just will continue to push on this committee to make sure that any solutions to these problems that we develop does not leave any of those small farmers behind. With that, Mr. Chair, I yield back.